All right. Well, while we're on the subject of SNL and we were talking about auditioning, if you don't mind me picking your brain a little bit, because I think there's so many comedians out there who SNL might be a goal of theirs or who knows or whatever, but they're curious about the process. So what's the audition process like for Saturday Night Live?
Well, it's weird. It's like from me sending a tape in to getting on was like 2 years. But from me auditioning in front of Lorne Michaels to being a writer on the show was like 2 weeks. Like it was like really slow. And then it's just like, you're on, you work here.
Move to New York.
All that happened was I had reps or whatever. And, everybody was leaving the show. All the dudes were leaving the show. Like Andy Samberg, Armisen, Hader, Sudeikis, we're all leaving at like the same time. So they're like, hey, we need dudes. So my agent was like, hey, do you want to make a tape and send it in? And I was like, I don't know how to do SNL. Like I had initially wanted to be on SNL. That's why I got into comedy, was to do Saturday Night Live. But then, you start doing stand-up and you realize that you love stand-up and you're like, well, and then I took classes at UCB and I was like, these guys are great at characters. I'm not. I was like, I'm not going to try to do SNL anymore. I'm just going to try to be the best stand-up in the world. And then, my manager or whatever was like, just do this shit. Just fucking do it. And I was like, okay. And I can't really do impressions. I'm not good at impressions. So I was like, and they want you to do 3 impressions and 3 characters is what the tape is supposed to be. So I did like 3 bullshit characters. I don't even remember. Like it was like they were fun. I like doing characters a lot. I was doing a lot of characters on stage. It was like a shy bodybuilder was one of them. It was just like, he would flex and be so embarrassed. But then the impressions I couldn't do, like Philip Seymour Hoffman or fucking whatever is all right, Matthew McConaughey, that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. That's stupid. So for my impressions, I did like Hitler. But he was like, he was setting up before a speech, but he was really into troll dolls. He's superstitious, so he had to set up all his troll dolls. He's like, let me just get his hair. He's got to be just right. Oh, he's got the jewel for a belly button. Do not show the Jews. Yeah, pretty crazy shit. And then Jake the Snake Roberts, only the government had repossessed his snakes, so he didn't have a lot to work with. And he was also being hired for a children's birthday party. So just like weird narratives.
So you took bold choices though, which makes you stand out, I feel like.
Crazy. So I taped it in my manager's office and she sends it in. And I'm like, hey, cool, neat. Didn't even think about it. And then like a day or two later, she's like, hey, they emailed back. And I was like, what? She was like, they said no, but this is like the most outside of the box tape that they've gotten. Like she said, I don't know if she said ever, but she's like, in a long time. It was very weird, they said. And she's like, and that's not bad. And I was like, cool. And then the next year comes around and she's like, hey, they reached out. They want you to make another tape. And I was like, fuck. All right. And so I made another tape and I tried to do real impressions that time. Like I tried to do like Charlie Day, shit like that. And like, send it to her and she's like, maybe we don't do SNL. It just wasn't that. It wasn't good. And then same time I go and do Just for Laughs, Montreal, and New Faces. And I go and it was great. I was like more than ready. I auditioned like 5 years in a row, was furious I hadn't gotten it, like that sort of, you go in with angry and you're like, I'm going to show you how you fucked up. I should have been here 4 years ago. But best thing that ever happened was not get it till I was good at comedy. So JFL goes incredible. Like after JFL, I was like in LA and it was kind of like, okay, you get to quit your job and you're going to do stuff now. So also Seth Meyers was at JFL and he went back to SNL. And he's like, this guy's really funny. We should audition him. And then he showed him, pulled up me or whatever. And they're like, oh, this guy's nuts. We have this tape from a year ago. And he was like, well, he wasn't nuts. He just did straight stand-up. So I think that combo of like, okay, I can do regular comedy helped. So then I auditioned. So then Lorne Michaels comes out to LA and they hold this audition with like maybe 30 people, maybe 20, 30 people at IO West. And I remember I was with Nick Rutherford and he gets a call from his manager that says, hey, you're going to audition for Lorne Michaels at IO West. And I was sitting next to Nick and I was like, oh my gosh, because I didn't know Seth was even at JFL or anything like that. And I was like, this is incredible. Nick, you get to audition for Saturday Night Live, because he was in the sketch group Lonely Island with Kyle Mooney and Beck Bennett. And I was like, this is so cool. And then like 1 minute later, I get a call. I was like, hey, you're auditioning too. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so neat. Well, awesome. Cool. Or whatever. And then I had read Jay Moore's book about how he did his audition drunk. He was just like, I played basketball, then I slammed 6 beers, and I went and I didn't take it serious. And I was like, well, that sounds like a fucking great plan. So I just didn't take the audition serious at all. And I remember Beck had a flat. I didn't drink before because I'm like taking it, I still do want it. But sure. Beck has he had a handle of, not a handle, but like a little a plastic bottle of vodka, like a fifth, or not a fifth, whatever like a flask amount is. And he's like, you want something? I knew him, and I was like, yeah. And I just took like a huge tug. And he was like, I didn't mean that much. I was like, I'm pretty nervous. And then I just walked out and did everyone was doing these really intense, like very meticulous characters. And I just kind of fucked around for 4.5 minutes. Like the mic stand broke and I fixed it and was like, well, that was a real big misuse of my time, because it took me like a minute to fix. And I just didn't take it serious. And then I ended it by they told me to do characters and I didn't, because I'd read Mulaney just did stand up and I was like, I just want to ride on the show anyway. Well, I mean, I want to be on the show, but I'm not good enough to be on it. And then I end it by even kind of negging like SNL. I was like, all right, I'll do some characters real quick because you guys seem to think that shit's cute. Yeah. And it was
the confidence that helped you through it, man.
Confident psychopath, an absolute confident psychopath. And it worked. So then they're like, holy shit. I like killed on a different level. Like, have you ever been funnier than you are? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Sometimes I'm like, this shit's an accident. All this shit's an accident.
Yes, exactly. That was my SNL audition. I was funnier than I actually was. So then I remember I went home and I was dating this girl. I woke up my girlfriend. She lived not far from IO West. And I was like, yo, I just got to tell somebody, I think I'm going to get SNL. And she was, this is still very early. And she was like, don't say that shit. That's, don't even fucking like say it. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I think I'm going to get it. That was wild. And then, I was going to do this. I was going to get to quit my day job as an engineer. Finally, all this is happening. I was going to host a MTV food show, be a judge on it with Chrissy Teigen and this other dude who was a chef. It was called Snack Down or Snack Off or something. And I was like at Bar Lubitsch, not Bar Lubitsch. I was at somewhere. I was at Little Dom's meeting with the producers of that show. And I was going to sign the shit to do 20 episodes. And I was going to get to quit my engineering job. I couldn't wait. And then my manager calls and she's just like, this is like, 2 or 3 days after the iOS thing. And she was like, don't sign shit, leave. I was like, what? She goes, you're going to New York tomorrow to test for SNL. And I was like, okay. And she's like, and they said to do exactly what you did. Like, just do that. I was like, oh, okay. And then I told the guy, I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go to New York for SNL. He's like, that's crazy. And it was really cool. It was like the serendipitous moment where I remember at Little Dom's is like this little eatery. It's like hip or whatever. Like a lot of people have lunches there. It's like bullshit like I was doing. And in Little Dom's at that time was Nick Kroll, who I who I kind of know. Well, I do know Kroll. I love him. He's fucking awesome. He's so funny. And I just like, but I didn't know him that well at the time. And I just told him, I was like, I'm going to New York to audition for SNL. And he was like, oh, I did that. Just stay on your time. It's incredible. Congratulations. And then also John LaJoie was in there, who I like, who I was just like, I was like, hey, I'm a fan of yours. I'm going to test for SNL. Like, I just couldn't not tell these guys. And also, who the fuck else was in there? God damn it. It was Paul F. Tompkins was in there too. And these are three separate, they're not together. I'm just going over to every one of them and be like, I'm going to New York to test for SNL. And they're all like, okie dokie, psycho. And then, so then I go to New York and I get there and the mind fuck is right away. Because I know Beck and Kyle, they're the only two guys I know testing too. And me and Beck get calls, texts, you're going to go have lunch. You're going to go have dinner with Lauren and the producers, not Kyle. So they brought like 20 people, and then like 8 of us went and had dinner with Lauren, and the other 12 were like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's like, a mind fuck.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And then Lauren comes and sits next to me, and then I just talked to this fucking guy for like, 2 hours, just asking him about the differences between Billy Madison and Tommy Boy and shit like that. And he was like, well, I said, I told Adam to lose the penguin. I'm like, I love the penguin. He was like, well, you were a kid, And super cool to talk to and really nice, but, also can put you down really well. He's okay. He's really good at making you feel insecure. That's his superpower.
Yeah, I bet.
And then he was like, so what do you like or whatever? And I think that this is like what got me hired is, I was like, well, I love music, man. You should have actually Arcade Fire on. Their new album coming out. It sounds rad. I didn't know until way later, he had just booked Arcade Fire to do the premiere that day. Wow. So he said, I'm very cool. He's like,
you confirmed his coolness. I love it when someone makes you feel like, because I mean, he booked Arcade Fire thinking, oh, everyone's telling me this. And then this guy who he just meets is like, good call. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that he had done it. I'm just like, you got to get Arcade Fire. They fucking rock. And
it would have been cool if you did know, but pretend like you didn't know.
I know, right? I would have fucked it up then. I would have been like, you should do it. And then, okay. This is a long-winded story, but it was,
I like you, man. This is great, dude.
Wild day. So then the next day, I'm like, I got to take the audition just as serious as I took the IO West one. And also Lauren told me, he's like, you're ready for the show. Tomorrow is just like a formality. I'm like, what? Okay. He's like, we have to see how you look on camera. It's a camera test. All right, psycho. But the next day, my call time's like at like 2 or 3. And I knew that they like make you, that you sit in an office alone for a long time before it. There's so much information on SNL out there. And so I went and met with Hampton Yount and Nick Turner, who were both in New York. And we got drunk at lunch. We just went and had lunch. And I remember it was not wasted, but just, had some beers to kind of chill out.
A healthy buzz.
And it was like, I was like, oh, fuck, it's 2. I'm late to audition for SNL. And we were right by the Flatiron building. And I had to like stop a cab. And I was like 30 Rock. I don't know what the fucking address is. I got to go to 30 Rockefeller Plaza to audition for SNL. And the guy's like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm not joking. I'm late. I got to get there. So we haul ass there. And then this is the smartest thing I ever did. Cause I was like, look, man, I don't give a fuck if I'm late. If I'm going to be iced in a room, I got 3 tall boys of Miller Lite and put them in my backpack and walked in. They put me in a room. It was so smart, dude. I was in there for like 2 hours, just alone, hearing people like yelling, like working on their auditions or whatever. And I was trying to like be friendly and like go around to people and be like, this is crazy. How cool is this? This is nuts. That's fucking Bill Hader's room. And nobody wanted to talk to me. They were all taking it very serious. So I just jammed out in my room to like this band, The Joy Formidable, while I like took beers and like kind of just like hanging out, like having fun. And then went down, did it. It was awful. It was so bad. There's a difference between, because I just did stand-up. There's a difference between doing like a character and being like, okay, you can see that I have this skill versus stand up to no laughs. No laughs. And I was shell shocked with how bad it went. Like I left in a fucking daze, and everyone else is like, God, that went great. That went great. I'm like, I think I got to quit comedy. Like that was so bad. I fucked up. And then I go back to my hotel and I am like, I don't even remember. I haven't watched my audition and I don't remember it. Like it was that. I don't remember doing it and I haven't watched it. And I could have the whole time, like, do you want to see your audition? When I was on the show, I was like, fuck no, burn it. So then I go back to my hotel and I'm like, this was awful. This was nuts. And then I call my agent and I'm like, yo, that sucked. I'm really sorry. Like I just fumbled, And then she's like, it's okay. It's really hard. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You're going to work when you get back to LA. Then like 1 minute later, she calls and she's like, I don't know what you think, but they want you to stay now. And I'm like, what? Okay. So then I stayed in New York for 3 more days. And also they only kept like 10 of us. So they sent like 15 people home, kept 10 of us. I'm like, okay, now it's down to 10 of us. They kept me for 3 more days. Didn't meet with Lauren. Like they were like, in case you go meet with Lauren, never met with him. Other people did. I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? I just stayed here 3 more days. Just did stand up at night, hung out with pals, then came back to LA. And it's like, I had kind of quit my job a little bit, but not really. And they announced that like Beck, Kyle, John Milheiser, and Noel all got hired. So they announced those guys got hired. And I'm like, fuck, I didn't get it. Okay, that's fine. It's all right. I did not get it. That sucks. And then I started having all the other bullshit meetings of, like if you get that close to getting on it, other people are like, well, we should talk to this guy.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I was like at a meeting at ABC to meet like with the head of like ABC development or whatever. And I'm in the office and I get a call. It was my birthday, I remember. And I get a call from the casting woman at SNL, who's nice. And she was just like, hey, what's up? This is, her name is Lindsay. She's great. She's like, hey, this is Lindsay at Saturday Night Live. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm actually at ABC right now. I'm at the Enemy. I was like being funny. She's like, we'll leave because you're going to move to New York and we're not sure what you're going to do on the show yet, but at the least you're going to write this season. And I was like, at the least? That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. And then I remember I go, and this is like foreshadowing. I was like, it's my birthday. And she's like, I don't care. Oh boy, I forgot that you guys are kind of mean. And then so as soon as I hang up, the people at ABC are like, all right, you fucking Bill Disney's ready to see you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just like walk in. And also, I'm not supposed to tell anybody. She's like, don't tell anybody. We'll do a press release and all that shit. Okay. And then I walk into the ABC room or whatever, and I'm sitting on the couch, and there's like 5 execs across from me or whatever. And they're like, so how's it going or whatever? And I'm just like spinning. And I'm just like, good. And they're like, yeah. And like, what do you want to do? Like, tell us about you. And I just was like, I just got hired to write at SNL. I gotta go. I immediately told a bunch of people. And they were like, oh, okay. Wow, crazy. Cut to 1 year later, I'm back in that meeting with all of those people after being fired. And they were like, that was a weird day. I was like, it was a weird day. Then I fly to New York and I write for the show for the first three weeks of commercial parodies where all the writers come in early. And then the day before the show started, Lauren's like, yeah, we're going to bump you up into the cast. And then it turned into hell. Everything before that was fun. And then once I was in the cast, it wasn't fun.
Yeah, dude. I mean, first of all, great story. And thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
What I love so much about you is
it's interesting.
you're so fucking genuine, man. You're like the same. I was cracking up when you were like, I ran into Nick Kroll. Nick, I'm going to audition for SNL. Paul Tapkins. Paul, I'm going to go audition for. Like, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and I think in a really good way. That's why when you were saying, I knew right away when the casting director, whatever, was like, "Hey, don't tell anyone we're doing a press release." In my brain, I'm like, "Oh, he's fucking telling people." I thought you were going to get in trouble for telling people, but obviously the ABC execs aren't going to. Who are they going to babble to?
Yeah, I was having my 27th birthday party that night at the Red Lion, and I was just like, I'm writing on SNL.
Yeah, dude, some things it's like I don't understand how they could expect people to hold on to that information as tightly as some people do.
I did have to hold on to I was a cast member for a weekend because he put me in the cast on a Friday, and I couldn't tell anybody till Monday. And by that time, I knew enough to be scared of them.
Yeah, that's what everyone talks about, how intimidating Lorne Michaels is and all that. I mean, I remember seeing you, like you came into LA, I think like SNL hiatus week. And I think I bumped into you maybe like a Bar Lubitsch or some bar in Echo Park, who knows where, and just chatting with you. And I could tell, I'm like, this dude is exhausted. You just seem like you're physically drained. Is it like that grueling a process, week to week grind of working as a cast member?
Well, it's just to not get on the show was the worst thing ever. It was just like, I was in, I would say for a year and a half, I did not every night for a year and a half. This is even after the show. I had the same dream every fucking night of I don't have any ideas. And it's Tuesday. Tuesday, I have no ideas because that's when you write your sketches. And and I just wasn't getting on. And it was like it was by
Friends for Never, dude.
What?
Friends for Never. You should have pitched that.
Yeah, no, it was just so sad. I was so sad to get on that show and not succeed. And it was just completely consuming of like, I'm failing on Saturday Night Live. I didn't know this was possible. So it was just like, I was a zombie, I was just I didn't know how to deal with it. I just was like really sad. And like knowing like, this is not working. I cannot believe that this is not working. You know what I mean?
Dude,
you get hired to do that. You think I got this. There's no way I'm not going to be able to do this. And it was just so much more than, I was like, just let me do fucking Update. Like anytime they let me go on Update and do stand-up, the next week they're like, that was great. I'm like, let me do it again, you fucking maniacs. That's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was just tough. Yeah. That year was such a blur but a lot of people have the similar story of like, I saw you looked like the saddest boy in the world. I go, oh, I probably was.
Well, I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear because SNL is such like an institution. So I understand like not succeeding at it the way you wanted to. Of course, it's got to be crushing. And here's a reference for you. You're getting into sports now, or basketball at least. Next time you're watching Iowa, think about that 11th guy on the bench who's not getting any playing time. That's kind of like what you were going through. It sounds like to me, kind of just being on the bench, being like, I know, get me on the court. I know I could score. Get me out there. So
that's exactly what it was. Anytime. Well, and that's also, they're really, I can't fault them. They weren't letting me, they don't let new guys take like big swings. Cause what if we miss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were only letting, I got like 6 sketches on, and those were my 6 best sketches because they were like, we're not going to let me put on my bad sketch. I wrote a sketch one time that they let me read it at the table. I'm like, this should have been yanked. It was about a guy that went to the running of the Bulls because this is how out of ideas I was. He's in Pamplona or wherever the fuck it is. He's at the running of the Bulls, and he can't wait to meet Michael Jordan. That's how dumb and stretching I was. They should have said, do not write this.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Not to be a dick, but that is kind of bad.
No, I'm putting out that's my worst sketch, dude. And when the sketches read there was 40 sketches read each Wednesday. It's like fucking 5-hour table read. And everyone is over it by sketch 38, 39, 40. My Bulls sketch was 40. So not only are they over this table read, it's the worst sketch of the year that I have to read out loud. in front of all of my fucking heroes.
Who were the head writers when you were there?
It was Seth was still writing there, still on it. He left halfway through to go do his show. He's the coolest person in the world. That's the other thing. Everybody at this show rocks. It's just a tough environment. Like, people are like, oh, it's so competitive. Nah, everybody, well, at least when I was there. Also, I just like to get along with, I was excited for everybody who was doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Seth. Brian Tucker was the head writer, and Colin Jost was head writer at the time.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, it seems like, looking back, you probably look back with a little bit like, oh, I wish it would have gone this way or that way. But overall, I think it was probably a great experience for you. You're doing so many great things since then. And also 6 sketches is 5 more sketches than Larry David got on back in 1982 or whatever.
Yeah, look, man, there's a lot of people. There's a handful of people who did bad on SNL and did really well. There's a lot of people who did bad on SNL and then also didn't do very well. So,
well, it also depends what you make of it too, right? I feel like you're a guy that's going to keep, or you have been like doing more and more shit where it's like, I'll just do this, I'll do that. That's what I think is cool about your story, is that you're like, I'll do that. That sounds fun. I'll do that. That sounds fun. And you go in that way, and you're a good dude. Like, you're easy to root for, because like, you're not bad mouthing anyone who is there at SNL. And I'm sure you probably could, but like, it's just it's a hard show to put together. 90-minute live show that's been around since 1975. And people are very overly critical of SNL. So
yeah, dude, anytime, sometimes I didn't have enough success for anybody to be mad at me, which is nice. But sometimes people will be like just tweet it or something like, you sucked on SNL. And I'll be like, yeah, I didn't win. What are you talking about? Yeah, of course.
Still got on it though.
No, not still got on it, but they're just like, I'm like, yeah, I know, man, I got fired. It's not like I did 8 years and sucked. But yeah, I don't know, man. It took me a while to be able to like talk about it with any sort of, not anger, where now I'm just like, hey, cool, whatever. It's a cool little moment.